Do not adjust your channels. You are about to start watching a video review of my newest arrival. Are you guys ready? Let's pause that music because we don't want to be copyrighted. Ladies and gentlemen, it has arrived. This is the 1/6 scale 1989 Batwing from the movie Batman by Michael Keaton. And this is arrived yesterday. And you might be asking, where does he get those wonderful toys? This is from JazzInc dioramas. The initial price for this was for 2,500 US dollars, shipping from the Netherlands all the way to the United States, which only took less than a week. Well, probably like 7 to 8 days, 7 to 10 days, which only took 7 to 10 days. It did cost $310 shipping, but this is from the Netherlands all the way to the United States, California. The box was perfect. The shipping was barely dented. It didn't have any dings or anything. So I was so confident that this was going to arrive intact, and the box is immaculate. And by the way, if we're going to do a review, let's do it properly. Alexa, display on.
Okay.
With the lights on for the Batwing. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring you guys in close up so we can see how the vehicle is like and all the stuff that I had to do, give you tips and points on what you need to do to secure it, okay? Okay, so the Batwing is about 52 inches wide, 44 inches long. This is a backdrop that I got from Amazon. It was a tip given on the Facebook group. It's an Amazon shower curtain. I think that if my Batwing was closer to the backdrop, it would basically almost fit with an almost inch in between, but there's about a foot distance behind it. Anyway, back to the Batwing. This is humongous. Can you see my head? It's humongous. Not my head, but the Batwing. A little backstory with JazzInc and my history with it. When he first initially offered the Batman versus Superman, it was the first major vehicle that he offered aside from the land speeder. But the land speeder was a basic shaped object compared to this car. And when he offered this, he theorized that if this was successful, he might go to the 1966 Batman. So I ordered this, not fully because I wanted it, because I wasn't sure, but for the possibility of getting the 1966 Batmobile, I wanted to support Hust and his efforts. And lo and behold, the 1966 Batman came, and I thought this was the most beautiful piece I would ever collect, and there was no way that I could have ever have gotten this. But there it is, 1966 Batman with the Hot Toys Batman and Robin, Mars Toys, Joker, which I do love. And I thought this would definitely be the pinnacle of my collection, because I've got all the Batmobiles that came out. And then he offered the Batwing, and I said, no, I'm not gonna collect the Batwing. I can't go that deep into the lore. I just want the vehicles, and the vehicles are big as it is. It's taking so much of my collection. Okay, there's no way I'm gonna do the Batwing. There's no way I'm gonna buy the Batwing because it's gonna be so big. And I know that many of you collectors out there who's been following this did have the money to purchase this. You wanted it, but there was just so no room for your guys' collection. I feel your pain, guys. I'm so sorry that if you chose not to buy it because you didn't have the room for it, that you didn't. I'm so sorry that you had to choose that option. But for me, after knowing I'm for sure gonna get it, my mentality was don't worry about the space. You can get that later on. You won't be able to get this ever again unless for some reason Warner Brothers allows you to reproduce it again later down the road with some sort of special signature series or anything like that, which is what he did with the Batman vs Superman. And even with that, my copy is the original and allows you to switch from the Batman vs Superman copy to the Justice Mobile. The one from Warner Brothers does not allow that, and his completely different materials and all that stuff. Even though it's signed by Zack Snyder and Tatopoulos. Okay, but still, going back to this one, there's very little chance any other company would produce a 1/6 scale Batwing. They will not have the guts nor the I don't know, chutzpah. Would that be the word? The I don't know, the energy, the enthusiasm that Used has. I believe this person Used, when he thinks of an idea, he doesn't even consider how he's gonna make it. He is just invigorated by the idea of making a Batwing. And when somebody asks, how are you going to do it? And he probably said, I don't know, but we're just going to try and see if we can do it. And there it is. Okay. Maybe 2 years later, I waited less for this than I am doing for Cyborg from Hot Toys. Just to let you guys know, okay? I waited less for this than for Cyborg Hot Toys to come out from when it was announced. Okay. And okay, so let's go into the detail. I gotta move back just to show you the detail, because and this is like maybe 3 feet away from it, okay? But if I go, okay, so let's go some close-ups on the cockpit, which you probably have seen on other videos as well. It has the monitor that has those words. The monitor is screen accurate, by the way. When you'll see that on the 1989 Batwing scene when Keaton was pulling all those balloons and everything like that. The cockpit detail is mind-blowing. There is some few things I will say about that later on. And as you guys have seen from Savage, this one does pop out and this one comes in. Okay. And by the way, guys, if you're asking about my mount, I will talk about that later on. Right now, I'm just going to concentrate on the Batwing and all its details. This is the basic shape, the basic configuration of the Batwing, which I will have it on without the Gatling gun. But the missiles out. I put in the thing. I didn't have the balloon cutter up top. I'll put that on later just to show you how it's done. These things do open. Okay. What I really wish was possible, and I know it can't because of the design of this part over here, that if this was can be put back and put out, that way you just have a clean shot of Batman. But you know, it was, you know, it's just little things, but it's beautiful as it is. Okay. I don't know what else to say. It's just the Batwing. The detail, speakers. You do have the lights up there. Yeah, paint job and everything. Everything's all secure and all that stuff. It does have the lights. Okay, so let me put you guys back on the stand, and let me tell you guys a few things. Okay, now that we're back out in the long range, this you won't be able to see a lot a lot of the details, but it's just so big. I think it's much more appreciated just to see the whole thing. So a few things that I want to point out. If you want to do it vertically like this, initially these fins, when it comes out to you guys, it will have a felt. This is the original felt that it came in. It was already taped in. He did give extra felt. What you want to do is you don't want to tape it on top of the existing felt. It's not going to fit back if you do that. What you want to do is wrap it around here because these were still exposed. What this will do is it creates enough friction from top to bottom so that it does not wiggle top to bottom, which is the most important part when you're doing vertical, because I did put it on without those before and it did stay on, but obviously when I was moving a little bit, I hit a little bit. Even though it stayed, that was enough of a movement that later on it fell down. Now, it fell down from this height to the carpeted floor, and it did no damage to the piece whatsoever because it is solid, this thing. And this is not like sharp to the point that it might break off when it falls. At least in that case. I'm not going to test it again. I don't want it to fall again, obviously. So I went ahead and felted it up. Everything else is magnetic. This thing does have its own magnets. I did test it. But I feel like it's probably either there's too much space in between the magnets of the fin and the actual piece that there just wasn't a lot of connection, enough force to attract it together. The second part, this is the only part that I would be the most careful of when you guys receive this. This is the canopy. You notice I haven't put it on yet. Did supply a double-sided clear tape that you can probably put in here and here, so that when you put it on, you won't be able to see it too much, and when you take it off, you won't be able to see it too much. I suppose you can put it in here too. That will be your choice. As you can see, I have not even applied mine on because I'm very much afraid that if I do decide to pull it off later, it will have a sticky residue that might be hard to take off. So until I've decided how I'm going to approach it, I basically left it off anyway. And just when you do, just be very, very careful when you are putting it so that you're not damaging it or anything, because this is the most unique part in this whole piece, including this part right here. But this actually has tabs, one here, and one here. I kind of wish that Used had done the same thing for this one, because it doesn't, let me pull this out. It doesn't really detract too much from the piece to see these, okay? It's not that ugly, and it just secures it so much more that you don't have to worry about it. And I kind of wish that he had just done that, or, you know, I'm sure he couldn't ask the community because some people in the community might not like it. But for security's sake, I think I would have preferred it if it had been that way. It's kind of hard to put this on at this angle. And I know this secure my mount. This mount is rated for 77 pounds. I'll talk about that later on, what I did and why I was kind of leery about it, and I had to go into the physics with the torque and force and all that stuff. It was anyway. All right, so because that piece is so unique that anything else in this piece, if it were to fall off or anything, I'm pretty sure I can fix it, like maybe down the road, like 2 years down the road, where it would be unreasonable for me to ask Used later on, so, oh, this thing fell off and it broke, can you repair it? He won't have the piece to replace it. I would have to repair it. And anything else in here I can do, except for the canopy. The canopy is such a unique shaped object that there's no way, and if it cracks, if it falls, there's no way for me to repair it. I doubt anybody else would have this. The only way to repair this is to somehow make a mold of this once it's cracked or repaired, and then from that mold create a new see-through plastic. But yes, be very, very careful with this one. It is the most fragile piece and this one the probably most irreplaceable. I'm almost tempted to ask you if it's possible for me to purchase as an extra one and how much it would be, because I think that's irreplaceable, including this one. Let's see. The other thing too, I had to reshoot this video because my new phone stopped filming, and there's no way for me to tell if it's filming or not. I can't see my videos while I'm shooting it. This is the Gatling gun. Very easy to put in. There's just a one slot in there. It will go in there much more deeper than what I'm putting on right now. But as it is, that's how you put it. Very, very easy. Nicely painted, just as everything else in this piece is. Now, initially, when I was watching you show this video, I was in my customizing frame of mind, and I was really, really curious whether it's possible to separate it, if it's just screwed and separated, and put some sort of motorized, mechanized treatment with this one, so this one opens and this one, the Gatling, spins. Where did I get that from? Adam Savage's tested video of the actual prop, the 1/4 scale. And 1/4 scale, this is 1/6 scale. I cannot believe how much more bigger this thing can get. And while I was watching that video, because that thing was mounted, because it's a prop, it's mounted, it has a big, huge gaping hole here, and then you have the electronics going in there. I mean, it's a prop, it's the real thing, as close to the real thing as we can get, but I like having that hole over there. It's just, I don't know. I prefer this one so much more better. Yes, I prefer this one so much more better than that one. The other thing too is that because that's the 1/4 scale, they use 3 models apparently. This is information coming from the same video from Adam Savage. They used 4 different types of models: the 1/4 scale, the 1/12 scale, and then the smaller scale for the moon. The close-ups this was for the 1/4 scale. They all had different types of details. So any comment I might have later on about I wish this was different, or I wish this was more accurate to the movie, that's not entirely true, because it's more like asking more accurate to the scene. Okay, so the 1/4 scale, if you look at Adam Savage's video, does not have any of these details on the seat. It's a very, very plain seat. Even if you were to look at the actual scene, even though this is dark, this is not as detailed as in the 1/4 scale. The 1/4 scale has less detail on this one. This type of detail you will see when you're close up on the scene, where you can see Keaton in the cockpit. So that's a cockpit detail. This is the only place you're going to see this. Okay, this part over here is accurate to the movie. I think I talked about that earlier. And even what's displayed on the screen, you can point that into the scene. The other thing that I might wish could have happened was the cockpit detail is beautiful. Make no mistake. The only thing that draws my eye initially is the symmetrical design of both sides, because they're basically a mirror of each other. So for me, I'm basically drawn as to the symmetry of those 2 panels, because it shouldn't be that symmetrical. And when I was watching one of the scenes when he was activating the balloon cutter and all that stuff, you'll never be able, because it's a close-up, you'll never be able to point out exactly from where in the cockpit did he do that. Well, you can kind of. He reached out with his hand, take it off of the joystick, and he flipped some switches over here. Now those switches, it should be over in this area, but the corresponding dials and gadgets in here doesn't match what's on screen. Would it have been cool to see that? Yeah, it would have been. But I mean, like, how much more detail do you want when it gets to this point? And you're probably asking for 2,500. I would want as much detail as possible. For 2,500, there's no way you're gonna get that much of a detail. You're not gonna see the lights that's in here. You won't be able to see flipping on and off. the lights, because they, you know, this, I think there's like 3 switches on the top, 3 lights in the bottom. That's kind of like in this position. Yes, I would love to have seen something like that, because, you know, you look at the scene, it's like, oh, is that my Batwing? Is that my Batwing? And you say, oh, it's not. But you're disappointed in a way, but then you look at what you have, and it's like, you're still mind blown with the fact that what's in there. So that's more of like, if I want that much of a detail, then you can pay somebody else, and you would be surprised at how much they'll ask you to re-customize this to be more accurate, because I guarantee you it's gonna go over the 2.5 that you're asking for, that you initially asked for. The what you're getting right now for that price is, in my opinion, the value is there. I cannot believe I got this for 2,500, and that was the one thing that made me finally purchase it, because there's no way I'm ever gonna be able to repurchase this down the road for the same price. There's just no way. Anyway, so let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Everything else in terms of the connection has magnets on it. I feel like this one they tried to do it, but they couldn't. And I know that you tried to do it for this one as well too, but there was a problem with the mechanics and all that stuff. So it's still a very, very beautiful piece. It's yeah. So let me. Oh, the other thing that I kind of wish for was the extension. So when you get this piece, gives you this adapter, but also this adapter over here. This is the one that actually converts the plug into any other international areas that it could be. It also serves as a surge protector. So technically, I don't need to use this, because this plug is actually for the US market. But it was very nice of use to, instead of the plugins that we got from the 1966, that he also offered a surge protector to protect the electronics inside. So that's the only reason I'm using it for, is because it does act as a surge protector. As you can see, my extension is just like a basic old plug that I'm going to replace later on. This, as you can see, so my only wish was this. It's very, very short. It doesn't even cover the span of the wing. And for somebody who's displaying it in vertical form, if you were to display this on the wall, you can't see it, but it's basically dangling off the floor, that whole contraption thing. But how long, I thought about that, how long do I need that to be, right? It's long enough so I can actually I can buy the extension that I need, because I also need a plug for my mount. So everything will just be hidden over here. So I'll just have everything all tied up to somewhere in the bottom over here, so you won't be able to see it. So that's still, it's like, I kind of wish that was longer, but there's an easy fix for that for me. The other thing too that I probably wish was that if this, because I got spoiled by the 1966. I'm sorry you spoiled me with the 1966. I had the remote control. I wish this had the remote control that I could just like blip, blip, blip. But I have Alexa to do that for me. Sorry, I had to whisper. She's very, very testy. So let me show you something. Let me show you. Is this prepared? Is this ready? Is it ready to go? Let's see. Is it ready to go? Wait for it. Wait for it. Am I gonna have to move you guys back? I think I'm gonna have to move you guys back. You're gonna hit it. Collision alert. It's still lowering, but the center of gravity for the piece is basically stopping there. But so let me extend the rod and position it properly so you guys can see it. Okay, this part of video is going to be handheld. As you can see, my Batwing is now in a different position. Let's talk about the mount. This is the Vivo ED70 mount, rated to hold 77 pounds. But I had to, this is not just the one mount, it's actually two mounts. I had to modify this one because I realized when I purchased it, without the modification, the Batwing, which is sitting over here, is going to be sitting like that, right? So much more higher, and there's no way I would be able to see what I wanted to see. The second mount is a very simple vertical ceiling mount that I purchased over here. It's connected over here so that I could rotate the Batwing. Because obviously when I have it at this position, I don't want it to be pointing that way. I want the ability to be able to twist it, which is what I'm doing right now. Now, because I'm holding the camera, I'm doing it one-handed, but obviously the best way to do it would be to do it two-handed. Let me just unplug this. And until I get it in the right position, there is a little bit of resistance from the wing itself because the center of gravity is changing. Right, so how did I mount this? I have it's shaky, but I do have the flash on. So this is the existing mount brackets for this ceiling mount, and luckily, as you can see, the original mounting brackets look just like this. So I cut it off for these two sides, and then luckily the remaining one, which is like this long, ended up perfect for this side. So these are all hand tightened. I don't think there's any need to tighten it any much more than that. This is also hand tightened. And then I use the spacers that was included with the TV mount to make sure there's proper spacing for the figure. I'm not going to be rotating this all that much, so I don't think there's going to be too much stress on it. But this is the undercarriage of the Batwing. Okay. Sorry, I'm already like 2 feet away from this. In order for me to show you the full Batwing in the bottom, I'd have to be lying down on the floor. The modification I had to do, I had to purchase a 1-inch diameter pipe that I attached with these brackets over here, and within that 1-inch diameter pipe I attached a 3/4 inch pipe all the way down here, basically, and then I attached the vertical wall mount over here. You see this piece over here? That's basically because the center of gravity is forcing the Batwing to push up over here. That's the torque. I had to bring in my niece to decide, because this is 77-pound capacity, if it's possible that because of that added weight of the material and the torque that's being forced upon the mount, if that 77-pound capacity is being reached. And we thought not necessarily, because that the torque that's being applied by the Batwing's weight is not being pulled down from the mount. What it's doing is it's basically pushing this whole thing back, and that's why I have this. The torque that's being applied is the rotational force that's pushing this backward over there. The weight that's being requested from the mount doesn't change. It's still the 35 to 40 pounds of the Batwing plus the, let's say, additional 6 to 10 pounds of the added bracket and the added mount. So that's at the most maybe 55 pounds total. So it still gives me about 20 pounds leeway for the mount to work. Even still, you have to be careful that when I'm retracting it to the ceiling, that I have to make sure I retract the Batwing first, and then it can retract over there. And even that, I can feel the motor kind of groaning. And since I never tested it with the regular TV at I think this can hold up to 100 inches or 70 inches TV. I never heard the motor originally as it's intended, so I'm not sure if the sound that I'm hearing is normal. But in which case, you saw at the bottom the small slot that goes in here. That's for obviously the cutters, if I ever want to display it like so. But like I said, I want to display this as pure against the backdrop, so I'll just probably attach the wing like so. So now we get to examine the Batwing as it is. Let me see if I can get rid of the flash. Okay, so I do have the 1989 Hot Wing Batman, Hot Toy Batman. I just don't want to mess around with it right now. I am creating a substitute for it, but I never got the chance to finish the customization process, so I'll probably do that sometime later on this month, because I do want something sitting on the Batwing when I have it displayed. Now, the reason why I wanted this option as a display option, okay, so one of the reasons why I wanted this display option and why I decided to spend an extra $300 in the mount is because I feel like at this level, then you can kind of go in there and just play with it a little bit more, mess around with it, just like just hold everything, just you're not having to look up like so and getting all that detail. Everything's just much more accessible to the detail. Now, when I was installing this on the mount, I actually installed it on the vertical mount first, and then I slid it on the pipe without the wings. It's just the main body, and on the mount itself is when I attached the bar. By the way, there's 9.5 inches on this side of the bar, 9.5 inches on that bar. You don't need to make it all equal like that, but I feel like it just gives you much more stability, and you know that it's not too far in. And I was able to assemble it on my own, obviously, because it was already floating just right at the right height. I mean, like this, I assembled it like at this height. It's perfect, which was another good thing about having something like this on the right level. And obviously, at this level, you can have the cockpit properly displayed. And by the way, when you remove this, don't make the same mistake I did where I was trying to lift it from here. This thing is so seamless. I never even realized that you're supposed to lift it with the surrounding bracket. In which case, it was so much more easier doing it that way. Yeah, but just to have this, if I want to marvel at it and inspect it, then this is how I would look at it. Obviously, you have to be careful because there's a lot of protruding stuff over here, and all that stuff. But yeah, Alexa, display on.
Okay.
Let me plug it back in. Yeah, this is just amazing. This is it, man. This is the pinnacle of my collection. I'm not much into statues. I highly doubt I'll be able to afford those life-size statues. There was a time I was considering buying one of those. I mean, if I'm gonna spend that much money, I might as well go all the way. So, when was it Queen Studios or Prime One offered a 1/3, even though their sculpts were beautiful. If I'm gonna spend that much money, like 3,500 on 1/3 sculpt, 1/3 size sculpt, my mentality is like just go all the way, man. Just go all the way full size. You know, it might be like 10,000 or something, but the detail that they were showing was so much more better. And yeah, unfortunately, I think it was Queen Studios that I preferred more, but they were only doing busts. And if I'm gonna do a full live scale figure and as beautiful as the Queen Studios offered, I couldn't just stop at the bust. It has to be a full figure, and regardless of the price point. If I was going to, like, if I was gonna invest $10,000 on something, if that had been life size, full scale, full statue, um, I feel like the Queen Studio products would have been well worth it, the 10,000. But like, geez, $10,000. But this, oh my God, I can't even tell you guys how worth it this is. Like, whenever I see a comment on the 1966 Batmobile and I twist my head to look at my copy, I am blown away that I own that. I had the opportunity. The opportunity was provided by Used and his company, a company no one has ever heard of 5 years ago, and he's just started doing Star Wars dioramas, and all of a sudden here we are. He's fully licensed by Warner Brothers, and we get a 1/6 scale Batwing 1989. Guys, did you ever think you were going to be able to do that? Because the only other way you can get something around this scale, or as mind-blowing as this, would have been the actual prop replica. You know, a quarter scale, which would be like probably from here to there. That, it's unbelievable that this is actually offered to us. So I don't know, the people that chose not to buy it because of the size and the display option. I know it's big, and you have to decide where you want to put it, what you have to sacrifice in terms of the display options. But that was a problem I was willing to tackle once this thing got here. And even when I finally decided to purchase this, my mind was always thinking, how was I going to display it? And was it going to be wall mounted? That was the only option I had, was wall mount. And I wanted to be able to pull it out, and I wanted to be able to flatten it just like this. Has always been what I want, wall mounted like this, and then bring it down. Nothing offered that in that capacity except the Ergotron. The Ergotron allowed you to pull it back 27 inches away from the wall, or about 30 inches. It had a capacity of 100 pounds, but it could never do the horizontal thing. So I would have had to customize that and purchase something that would allow me to do that. And it was already $279. So when somebody put this up as an option, I said, no, I don't want it up in the ceiling where you can only see the bottom or the top. That doesn't make sense to me. It wasn't until I thought of adding the additional brackets and the pipes that I realized, oh, I could display it vertical and then use the motor to have it horizontal. And then I started thinking, wait, was there a way I can twist it so that as it's going down in a horizontal position, it will twist by itself? And I thought about it, and I realized, yes, I could do something like that. And I already had the whole contraption designed in my mind, and I was excited. I was anticipating, blah blah blah, and then I realized that once this comes down on the original pole, even with this one extending over here, once it comes down, the Batwing will be like this high. Even though it rotates by itself, I was like, wait, I'm only going to be able to see the bottom of that. I wanted it lower. Once I added this extension to lower it down, there was no way I was going to be able to make it rotate. And by that time, it's just a matter of like, yeah, I might as well not deal with that and just rotate it myself. And then, of course, I had to worry about the capacity of the mount, whether it's capable of handling that extra stress from the torque. So I had to consult my niece, who's a much more better mathematician than I am, and she's a physicist, so she helped me in dealing with the added weight and the torque, the added force coming from the torque, whether it's going to be affecting the weight capacity of the mount. So in the end, I added up. The mount was 220. The electrical mount was 220. The vertical mount was, I believe, 70. So that's 300, equal to what I would have paid for an ergotron, and it's mechanized and it's up on the ceiling. So, and before this, I was looking at dental arms, dental mechanical arms, because I went to the dentist the whole time, and I was thinking, yeah, you know, but those are like thousands of dollars. No way, no way, because those you can just like pull, and it's all smooth and everything. And I was thinking of that for the Batwing, and even that I would have to customize. I'm getting off of the tangent, thinking about mounts and everything, but for a piece like this, if you're going to spend $2,500 on a piece like this, and you're thinking, can I buy the cheapest mount possible to display it? That wasn't where my mind was going. My mind was going is like, how can I display this properly, securely, and give me the widest range options available? Yes, you can just buy a TV mount and spend $30 and just have it vertical. And if you have it that way, that's good too, because as you can see, once I display this, it is mostly going to be vertical. It's only on the very rare occasions that I'm like, I want to see it vertical. I mean horizontal. And this is perfect. This is the only option I had. You know, it's like, and I knew when I saw the ergotron price, so that was the base limit of my price, and the maximum limit of my price range anyway was $300. So the fact that I'm able to get a motorized version just makes it so much better. And then when I decided that it's going to be ceiling mounted, that I was willing to sacrifice the view from my collection over here, then it ended up being like, well, I can put it back in my collection room instead of having it outside where I might see it once in a while when I pass by the hallway. Now it's part of my collection room. So yeah, this backdrop is only temporary. It's only for the display purpose for the first few weeks when I show it off to my friends and family. Then I'll take it out because I can't. This was only $20 anyway, $20, and it's almost the perfect size for the Batwing. But I can't lose looking at my collection. I know it's DC Universe Classics. They're cheap figures, but they're my complete DC Universe Classics collection. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope I answered almost all your questions and all your curiosities. I don't know what else to say. It's just, I know it would be wrong for me to say it's a blessing that I've been given the opportunity to own something like this, but it's correct in a way, because I'm in my path in my life that I'm blessed enough that I can afford it, I can buy it, and I'm not burdening anybody in my family. I just have the extra income, and it brings me happiness and joy to be able to watch this. So I'm blessed in a way, and I'm blessed that Used was able to think of even producing this in the first place, and then having the encouragement and the courage and the backing of his family to go ahead and do it. Like, I can't even believe how much he was willing to invest in this one, and how communicative it is. So when I nitpick the things that I wish could have been so, like when I'm looking at this and that's too symmetrical, that is not in a criticism of Used. You guys, you have no idea how much I hold that person in high regards, and the family, the supporting that he has from his family, from his wife, his kids, and his father, and everybody else connected to his, and the fortunate circumstances that gave him connection to Warner Brothers initially, and the people at Warner Brothers who gave him the licensing to produce something so small, just so to appease us collectors. Because from what Used has been saying is that Warner Brothers don't usually give licenses to producing something this small because it's not worth it to them. The only reason they are allowing this was because um, he appeals to a certain small group of collectors, um, and that that's just on demand of this thing. So when you guys are still on the fence because you heard about this from somebody else because you never even thought about this, um, when you're kind of thinking of the price, imagine that this is a low quantity production. We're not talking in terms of thousands. This is not being produced in the thousands. I can't believe this is still going on. It's still some available stuff like that. This is not going in the thousands, guys. Eh, I and even if like with the Batman versus Superman Batmobile, that he did a second run on it with a different run with a signature series. Even when that happens, I didn't even feel any kind of, oh man, I wish I got into that train. If I could afford to get a second one, and I don't know why, because the space would have been. This is already draining enough of my space. I'm still privileged to own the first version because that's Juice's version, including the screws that's still outside of it. It's just so much. It's just such an evident piece from the history of Jazz Inc. that I am fortunate to be a part of the journey. You guys who might be watching this, who's part of the face group from the initial Facebook, might know what I'm talking about. We've grown with use with his company. We kind of know how he works things out, how communicative he is, how passionate the guy is when he's talking about his projects, and not harping on Hot Toys because I loved Hot Toys when it first came out with Howard Chen. The mentality that Hot Toys had when I believe that Howard Chen was in full control of that company. When he first offered his Iron Man figures, like the Iron Man Mark III, there were so many options. All the options available you can think of, he packed into that piece. You can feel the passion that Howard Chen was looking. It's like, I want to do this. I want to do this version. I want to do this. All the accessories. It doesn't matter. Let's put it on there. Let's put it on there. And you can feel it. You can feel the value getting from those pieces. It's not now. It's because now Disney has gotten more tighter control on that one. I feel like he's more restrictive with his pieces, and it lost the passion. The company lost its passion, and you now it's switching over. They used to be the center. They used to be the center, and they defeated Medicom, and they defeated. Was it what was the other one? I can't even remember the name of it. Aside from Medicom, they were the top. They were the pioneers. Now they're being defeated by Queen Arts Studios, and because their Joker is just mind blowing, but but it's a mind blowing price as well. But it's like two figures, a lot of die cast, rooted hair. Uh, yeah, I just couldn't. I just couldn't spend $1,000 on two figures, especially because I'm not. I'm not the type of collector that's looking at this through a microscope or a microscopic lens when I'm looking at the beauty. I mean, when I'm seeing the pictures of the rooted hair Joker, I'm astounded by it and everything. But this is the distance that I'm gonna be watching this, right? And for what I'm getting for 2,500 is it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. What else can I say about this piece that I could find the description for? I don't know what else to say. Thank you, thank you so much. Thank you for your family for supporting you. Thank you for your wife for taking care of the business side of things. Thank you for your kids for helping out their dad. And then thank you for your dad. I hope he's doing well. For the support that he's giving you. And wow, I don't know what made you think of doing this. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this long rant. I'll try to edit it down, but I can't think of anything else to say. If you order this and yours is coming, I hope yours comes in intact, perfect. and I hope you are as happy with it as I am with mine. Um, and for anybody who's on the fence, you know, I hope whatever your decisions may be, you'll be happy and satisfied with it. But it's a beautiful piece, a very, very beautiful piece. So, bye. Oh, hello. Did you actually stick around at the end of the review? Yes, I can actually lift this all by myself, including the mount. I forgot to mention, this is actually light. Surprised at how much lighter it was, and I was very happy that it was light enough because I was expecting 35 pounds. The wings felt as heavy as the main body. So maybe because this might be a thicker plastic than that one, I don't know. But yeah, I was able to lift it. The weight of the piece is basically creating enough friction along the pipe so that when I'm letting it go, that torque is basically keeping that pipe from sliding down too easily. So it actually works in my favor. As you can see, I've already put in the Allen wrench over here, but this is not the proper position yet, so I have to make sure I can only do this on the ladder. And once I have the pin over there, that's secure. That's not gonna go anywhere. And then I have this chain that I use just in case something were to happen. And because this motor, this mechanism over here, the weight is basically carried by these two metal rods or metal hinges. The mechanism for lowering it down and lifting it is all based on these two belts. So it's not forcing it straight. That's why sometimes the center of gravity is forcing it inwards towards the center of those two hinges, because this belt is just loose. It's just gonna flop over there. Yeah, so Alexa, display on.
Okay.
So once I have it properly secured over there, I just basically, one of the features about this, if you move it, it'll just basically start pulling it already. So that's why I sometimes have to be careful when I turn off my power, because when I'm over there and I'm messing around with the base, I don't want it to move and then start pulling itself up. If the pull is not fully retracted, I need to make sure I have control. I have access to the remote control when it happens. You'll hear, I'm going to stay quiet, you'll hear the noise of the motor. If it's straining too much or not. The very top over here, it feels like it's really working. That's it. That's not gonna move, folks. It's not gonna fail because of those pipes that I put in, because that thing is freaking stiff. And those support clamps that I put in there, there's like 4 of them. Even though it's thinner, there's no way that's gonna give. And I use the existing holes in the mount. I could literally take this whole thing apart and return it, because all the stuff that I did, they're all completely reversible. So I don't have any issues on that. And then once I'm done, I just basically, the chain is basically here to make sure that if in case the belt fails, because it is just a belt, and that's the only thing that's pulling it up. If the belt fails, this thing will just basically swing out And in order to prevent that, I have the chain to secure it so it doesn't swing out too much. Okay, so basically once it swings out, if the belt were to fail, once it swings out, all that torque of the weight of the Batwing will swing out like this, and there's going to be a lot of force, and it might be enough to jar the Batwing into dislocating from the from the three connections. I mean, that connection is secure, but you don't want to test it by jarring it, you know what I mean? So once it's in this position, it's best to do it slowly, carefully, making sure you're not hitting anything. There's something going on with the chain. It got snagged on, oh, the bottom fin. You know, I mean, like when you're handling it, you're not going to be handling it like crazy. I try to handle it at the center of gravity, supporting the brackets. And just like that. Is it centered? Fairly centered. That's it.